Islamic Finance. 2 weeks ago, I was in Jakarta attending the World Islamic Economic Forum. And no surprise, the main subject was the present economic financial crisis the world is facing. And I was chairing a session that basically brought in real experts from the Islamic finance from different parts of the world. And they were explaining the present crisis, how it came about, and in terms of what there is more to see in the future, rather very big picture, if we continue, because there's this bottomless pit, and we had not much was talked about trillions at that time. Only time trillions and billions was in Zimbabwe dollars, we were talking about it, but now it seems to be quite a common sort of phenomenon in different parts of the world. And we see a green picture in terms of any early recovery. So then they gave a comparison of where Islamic finance is in practice, banking system is in place, and the state of the Islamic banks. And I think the one key principle that came out on Islamic finance is that when we compare with the conventional system, that the subprime mortgages and what we see in the States, this debt that was purchased and passed around until everybody who passed around finally found out that you're dealing with really worthless sort of assets or whatever. That concept doesn't exist. The fundamental position of Islamic banking is that it's based on asset value. That you do only provide funding and is based on asset value. However, assets do go up and down in terms of value. But the protection which the Islamic banking system allows you is very clear. So there is this ultimate protection to both the seller and the investor that guarantees on that. Now, Britain, as Prime Minister Gordon Brown mentioned when he was Chancellor 2 years ago, Britain, you would like to see Britain as a gateway to Islamic finance. And at that conference, which was organized by the Muslim Council of Britian, when we initially talked about how can Britain become more, there were a number of impediments in terms of the regulatory procedures, laws, and Prime Minister, at that time, Gordon Brown was the Chancellor, and he was determined to ensure that those were removed. For example, the double tax situation. There was a double tax situation. You had some housing mortgage, you had to pay your stamp duty once, and because then you transferred the other, there was other duty. He ensured that that was removed to facilitate it. The great opportunity for inward investment into Britain and Islamic finance was something that he picked up. And very rightly so. When you compare Britain with other Islamic, including Saudi Arabia, where Islamic finance has still not been practiced, or Islamic banking system has not been fully practiced, they have something to learn from Britain. We are fully structured Islamic bank in Britain, non-Islamic bank of Britain. There is other wholesale bank that's been established as well, providing the service, and both fairly strong in its setup, in its service. And of course, the good news, I was talking to the MD the other day, that there are non-Muslims now who are able to bank with Islamic bank. Not because there is any, but they see that there is this protection and there is this benefit of something which is equitable, which is fair, which is just, and they feel much more comfortable with it. Yeah? So yes, I see a tremendous opportunity for Britain. And in fact, all the opposition parties at the last conference sent the messages where they feel that we need to explore how this monetary system of finance works in. There's a Treasury committee that has been set up by the government, which is looking into it. And one of the recommendations that came out from the Jakarta meeting was that at the G20, where 3 Muslim countries are invited, or they're part of it, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Indonesia, all 3 of them will be submitting a paper on the Islamic financial system. And we, as British Muslims, will also be submitting a memo to the Prime Minister. And this is something that needs to be looked at. And this is what I was mentioning earlier on, that whenever there is anything positive and good, don't hesitate. Just because it comes from the word Islam or Muslims doesn't automatically be diminished and demolished. There is something, for God's sake, have a look at it. There may be something good about it. You know? So as there was a paper, there was a letter in the tablet paper sort of 2-3 years ago, where Christians sort of wrote this, what fantastic system of banking. If only the word Sharia was not used, or Islam was not, then I would be part of it. You know? So that's a challenge which we have to look at.